Tonight, I am announcing my resignation from the position of co-chair at the Proud Pagan Podcasters, effective immediately. So, a few of you may know that I've been with the Proud Pagan Podcasters in some sort of official capacity for the past 3 years, since Yule of 2008. I joined the PPP back in November of 2005, back for one of the first pagan shows I ever hosted. And since then, by Yule 2008, I was part of the organization for 3 years. And the organization looked like it was going to die. I mean, the only thing we had left at that point was a Yahoo group. That was the only thing there was to the organization, essentially, besides the fellowship and the camaraderie of fellow podcasters. And so I was like, okay, this is a dying organization. I don't want to see it go away. I'm going to do something about this. So I stepped up. I bought a domain, got us hosting, been hosting the site and paying for the domain ever since. Created the new website, made sure everything was kosher with the chairwoman at the time. Keep in mind, I was not a co-chair until a few months ago, so everything had to get cleared through her. And the organization survived. But I kind of saw myself as more of an interim role, hoping that somebody would come in and serve a more permanent purpose in the organization. And, well, it turns out I was apparently going to be the one that was permanently running the thing, along with the chairwoman. A few months ago, I was, selected to be co-chair by the chairwoman. And since then, I've been putting together more things to try to get more activity in the organization, like, putting together the Proud Pagan Podcasters podcast to keep you all informed, try to drive more activity from the members into the organization. And just, honestly, it just seems like there isn't a whole lot of enthusiasm about the PPP anymore. People like the fellowship and the camaraderie, but you don't need an organization to have fellowship and camaraderie. All you need to do is be nice to each other and find each other. And this is a lot different than even 6 years ago, where finding pagan podcasts was a difficult thing. Now you just gotta go online, go to a podcast directory other than iTunes, and find the pagan section, and bam, everybody's there. Same thing. We're also on Richfox, all the pagan podcasters. Granted, their list isn't up to date, but it's still a way to find pagan information. What did I do for the PPP? Well, I did a lot of stuff, actually. I mean, it's not like insurmountable stuff. I mean, PPP didn't take up a whole lot of my time, but basically what I did, I was going to pagan events, representing the PPP, promoting the PPP, getting radio spots for the PPP, because, there'd be people there from local public radio stations trying to fill up some airtime. And they're like, oh, well, you got a lot of content. We have a lot of free airtime. Let's put 2 and 2 together. So, I know Dee at Pagan FM has been very gracious in offering airtime on her station, and all the other offers you've seen have basically come from my efforts in the pagan community, physically going to events and making stuff happen. And one thing that, that I've done over the years is resisted the behind-the-scenes temptation to charge membership dues. I think until the PPP presents a very, very sound case for why membership dues should be done. I mean, it just really shouldn't happen. I mean, there needs to be a significant benefit by the organization to its members, and the members must be benefiting from the organization before an organization charges dues. That's just my generic opinion on organizations. I believe it very much figures into the PPP here. So, why am I resigning? Well, I was going to call it a retirement because I'm leaving and departing on good terms rather than bad terms. I've not been told or coerced into resigning, but I know if I just called it a retirement, you all are smart enough to see right through that, or I'd be accused of playing with words. So, screw it, we're just going to call it a resignation. There are 3 major things that have triggered me to resign. The first one is, as a few of you who listen to this show, I'm participating in the Pagan Centered podcast, which is equally contributed to by all hosts of the show. We all help with post-production, maintenance of the site, and so forth. One thing that came up was, the organizations that I feel are most reputable are the ones that elect their leaders rather than have a selected leader. I just feel that it leads to a lot less ego involved with driving the organization, and a lot more let's just do what needs to get done for the betterment of the community. And so, after the episode, I brought this up to Lamika, my co-chair presently, the former chairwoman. She's co-chair now. Well, I guess she's the chairwoman again now that I'm gone. But basically, I'm like, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we put this up for election? Get all the PPP members together. Let's hold an election. I mean, given how little activity there is in an organization, it seems like nobody else wants to help, so we'll probably get reelected. So it's almost like a fake election. But let's do it anyway. This way we can have elections. And hopefully, when we do this election next year, somebody more viable will participate and be able to take over the organization, do the community good. But I met a lot of resistance on this. The main thing is it's like, okay, I'll give you elections if you give me membership dues. And, I feel so strongly about elected leadership, I was willing to, give up my fight against membership dues. I really don't like the fact that the PPP wants to do membership dues. But if that's what it takes to have elected leadership, then so be it. I just feel that the PPP will grow significantly smaller and basically dismantle itself as an organization if we were to charge membership dues. I mean, again, it goes back to the fact that PPP members don't make that much of a benefit out of the PPP. So why should there be an exchange of money? In talking privately with some other podcasters prior to going public with this resignation, I was asked a few questions about the dues. How much was it going to be? Approximately $20 a year per show. So if you're a person like me who has 9 shows listed on a PPP, do the math. Yeah, I don't want to be part of that. I don't reap that much benefit out of the PPP, even as a co-chair. What would the funds be used for? Basically, she wants to, instead of having volunteers for the PPP, she wants to pay the people that get involved with the PPP. And also, the remainder of the money would go into a scholarship for those who want to go into, broadcasting or something of that nature and are pagan. While the scholarship idea is a great ideal, I feel it is impractical and incongruent, or at the very least, I don't know, it just feels disjointed from what the PPP should be doing, especially at this point, given that it has no funds. But that's just my view on things. And the second major reason that triggered me to consider resignation is the banishment of Firelight of inciting a riot from the Proud Pagan Podcasters. Now, let me get some things straight. Me and Firelight do not get along. We bicker quite publicly, quite openly. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to, be buddy with the guy because we don't get along. I mean, I appreciate, and this is the main thing to keep in mind, I appreciate a lot of what he does for the community. He is arguably one of the biggest contributors to the pagan podcasting community, by means of him and Velma Nightshade going ahead and putting together the Proud Pagan the Pagan Podcasting Supermoot every year in a different city so far, and I think that's an awesome event. You usually get about 20 podcasters to show up, and to get that many podcasters in one spot is amazing. I know when we had the podcasting meetup back in 2010 for people at PSG, we had like about 10 podcasters show up, which is still pretty cool. It's great way to meet up with people, revive the pagan podcast that have pod faded. But, honestly, to 10 versus 20, you're talking about, a huge difference. Again, if you look at it in percentages, I mean, and the thing is also the 10 people at PSG did not overlap the 20 people that went to his event. So there were complementary events, not replacing each other. And I really have a sincere respect for what Firelight has done, because all I had to do is file a piece of paper with the people at Circle Sanctuary, and I had a meetup at PSG, whereas he had to actually go out, find a place to do it, let everybody know about it, actually get the podcast to show up, and we're all geographically dispersed, so this involves a lot of airfare. And to get podcasters spend that kind of money just to meet each other, awesome. So I have a lot of respect for him for putting that together. And so taking them out of the PPP, which is an organization that's supposed to be promoting pagan podcasting, didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, the official reason that I've been given for why he was banished from the PPP is that he was over-promoting the pagan podcasting supermote. And as people that organize events have told me, well, that's how you promote an event. You just keep getting the message out there. And I kind of agree. I mean, to be blunt, the Pagan Podcasting Supermoot was the only pagan podcast gathering of 2011. So I don't see the big deal. I mean, I can understand things that are, grammatically incorrect or whatever, driving people nuts, but whatever. I don't think that was the case with Firelight's postings. And, I just didn't want to have any part of that because I know anything I did would be attributed to personal bias, so I had to basically abstain myself, and that's what happened. I know there's sometimes a general mantra of let's try to treat everyone equally, but if you get someone contributing a lot to your organization, especially out of volunteer effort, and you have no money to begin with, we should let them, give them a few perks, not kick them out. And this also kind of ties into my earlier thing about ego, and that just didn't set a good trend for me to look at. I mean, and to quote Aidan Odinson of Secrets in Plain Sight, process versus progress. Are we just following the rules for the sake of following rules, or are we going towards and achieving meeting our ultimate goal of benefiting the pagan podcasting community? I think this is a situation where process overruled progress. And I don't know. I may not like the guy, but I really appreciate what he does, and I think he should have been given some credit for what he does, especially when considering those situations. But the last thing is, and this is like any week, I'm going to put the most important thing last. I think it's time for the PPP to have a shakeup, bluntly. I mean, I still see myself as an interim figure, and sometimes the best way to move forward is always sometimes the most counterintuitive way. And I think me leaving the organization will have just enough impact to shake up the PPP and move it forward. The organization needs to move forward. I think I've been revivifying a corpse, per se, and it's time to just let that die and let there be a new PPP. I'm not saying the organization needs to go away, but I think it needs to be revived in a new type of way. I'm not sure what this will be. I mean, I have my own ideas of what I would say it as, but it's time to move forward. And it just seems like for the past 3 years, we've been doing more stuff, but we've been essentially the same organization as we were in 2008 and 2007, 2006. I mean, I remember 2005. That was an awesome year for the podcasting community. I mean, everybody was just awesomely happy that there was an organization, but it just, I don't know, maybe it was just a novelty of things, and then it faded. And then the organization essentially has been limping along ever since. I mean, so here's the main things I see the PPP currently doing is promoting fellowship and interaction among fellow pagan podcasters. Not exactly something that we need an organization for, but I guess it's an anchor point that some people might want. Covering the news that is pagan podcasting. Pagan podcasters go to events and cover events. And this year I was surprised at how many events we all covered. And I think that is something that needs to get promoted more. And podcasters should be promoting that themselves, sending press releases to the Pagan Newswire Collective. Just get that news out there. I mean, what we're doing is a lot more awesome than what you think. And especially when it comes to coverage of the events we've never heard of, or events that might be big on a local level but small on a national level, or known on a national level, like the CMA stuff here in Texas. I mean, that's a huge event in Texas, and basically nobody outside of Texas has ever heard of it. With the exception of, some podcasts actually, have mentioned it. I mean, Bo and the Go, he interviewed Phaedra Bonowitz on his show just before she came to CMA. And I think as a result of that, there's some more national awareness of CMA. We might not all understand the amazingness of CMA, but at least the name is out there. We also, promote the act of podcasting, basically we just go to people, go to events, and just tell people, hey, start podcasting. You won't realize how easy it is, especially nowadays with Blog Talk Radio. I mean, anybody can do a Blog Talk Radio show nowadays. It saves a lot of the technical hurdles that podcasting had, even 4 years ago. But at the same time, we're also trying to promote, getting press releases disseminated through podcasting as well as monetizing podcasts, which I'm not sure if all that stuff put together are compatible mutually. I mean, I could definitely see the podcasting news, hey, I'm covering this event, being a, PNC bureau even, but we don't have enough people to even create a PNC bureau. You need 3 people. We don't have 3 people that are willing to support such a thing. And then that's the most disappointing thing about the organization. It's just that, I don't know, people have been asking, is this really the death of the organization, or are you just finally acknowledging that it is a dead organization? I don't know. I'm not trying to kill the PPP, but I might just be finally realizing how dead of an organization it's become. Because you got something like 60 members even after cleaning out the membership queues. And we can't get 3 people to put together a PNC bureau. I mean, how disappointing is that? So I'm not even sure podcasters want the PPP anymore. I mean, we're certainly not contributing to it. So that's my short little rant on that point. And maybe that is the point. The PPP might be too generalized as an organization to do anything effectively. I mean, specialty groups tend to work in a pagan community. You got an organization that, there was an organization years ago that all it did was help the troops overseas, and now the Circle Century has been doing it. And that's awesome. I mean, I'm not a big fan of competition in paganism, but at the same time, if you get an organization with more resources that can take over that task and do it effectively, go for it. I'm a big fan of let's all do our thing, because there's not that many of us, and there's enough uniqueness among all of us to find a niche and make that niche awesome. But as you can tell, I'm kind of lost my confidence of my ability to operate as a co-chair of the PPP. And, so basically my way forward is, again, I will still be a member of the PPP, at least until membership dues get instated. And, I feel that the best thing for me to do long term to benefit the pagan podcasting community is to take a different path. Not so much setting up an organization or anything. I mean, this isn't going to be one of those witch war scenarios, because I think that's all full of crap. But, you know me well enough to know that I'm really big into promoting podcasting, showing people how to make their podcast better. And that's going to be the path for me. I might just do it through a YouTube show and move forward that way and contribute to the pagan podcasting community that way, or just the podcasting community in general. I mean, as many of you know, we do help shows that are not pagan. In fact, we probably help more shows that aren't pagan than are pagan. But whatever the case may be, I mean, we're still putting that information out there. And, we're really big supporters of the podcasting community in general. And all of us seem to be. And I know I personally take it to heart. I go to shows. I personally go to pagan events just to show off what podcasting is about. And hopefully I can contribute to the pagan community through alternative methods rather than running an organization that seems like nobody cares about. So, I mean, it's not like me to quit, but I think quitting is the best way forward here, both for me personally and for the organization I'm departing. So those are my words. Those are my thoughts. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel, and I'll get back to you. Good night, everyone.